Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Big edition of the Big Four podcast today. No Alex, unfortunately, but we're going to talk some college football after the selection show today. Big moment for the committee today. There's a lot of discussion after the ACC championship yesterday about whether A&M should get in over Notre Dame. That was not the case. Notre Dame is the number 4 team. They'll play Alabama. And Clemson will play Ohio State as the 2-3 matchup. Did the committee get it right?
If you go, I guess, I mean, that was the path of least resistance, right? Taking Notre Dame. I thought the problem is it's not going to be a good game. Notre Dame's going to lose by 40 to Alabama. The Ohio State-Clemson game should be a pretty good game, I'd imagine. But if the committee was going for the 4 teams that are the best teams, I mean, combined of best and most deserving, I think they should have gone with Oklahoma. It would have been too hard because they screwed themselves ranking them so low leading up to this. But I thought they should have put in Oklahoma.
All right. Mike, what do you think?
No, they didn't get it right. It's as simple as that. I'm sick of these semifinal blowouts. Well, Alabama opened as like 20.5-point favorites. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. Okay, the playoff needs to be expanded to 24 teams.
Yes,
because this is ridiculous. Listen, I've changed my opinion on this a couple times. At first, I wanted it to be the 4 most deserving teams. If you're going the 4 most deserving teams, I think they got it right. I mean, who else would they put in? Maybe Oklahoma is a little bit more deserving, so maybe not. But if you're going the 4 best teams, then it's Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and you look at a team like, Florida. I think Florida could give Alabama the best fight. Maybe Georgia also, the way they've been playing. I don't think Notre Dame can give them a fight. I don't think A&M can give them a fight. Oklahoma might be able to give them a little bit of a fight, but I don't think they can win. Florida can give them a fight. They showed it last week. And I think Georgia with JT Daniels can give them a fight. I'm sick of the semifinal blowouts. But if we're going, like Luke said, the path of least resistance, this was expected. But I'm done. I'm done with the semifinal blowouts by 35 points. They should have put Florida in there. Like, I don't care. Just make it watchable.
What they should do is they should have a thing of standards that you need to be in consideration, and then they should take the 4 best teams in consideration, no matter what.
Well, the 4 best team thing wouldn't matter if they just expanded the playoff so that everybody can make it, and then we'll see who's actually the best team.
Yeah, I agree with the expansion of the playoff, but the games have to mean something on the field. And the bottom line is Florida has 3 losses. They lost to LSU, so they're not going to get in the playoff. If Florida,
I don't care. I honestly don't care.
If Florida had 2 losses,
the games don't mean anything. They don't mean anything anymore anyway.
Listen, and this is what happened last year. Georgia, not Georgia. This was 2 years ago, and Georgia lost that close game to Alabama in the SEC championship. And I was advocating for Georgia to get in because they only had 2 losses. They put up a good fight against what was the number 1 team in the country. And if Florida had done that without losing to LSU, I would agree with you. Because there needs to be a mix of most deserving and best teams. And I think the committee got it right. Obviously, the top 3, I think the top 3 were pretty simple. They did that. And then the bottom line is you can't really measure if Notre Dame or Texas A&M is better. Nobody knows. And Notre Dame has a better resume. So they got put in. Oklahoma has 2 losses. So
my problem, I think they both suck. That's my problem. Is they both already got blown out by over 20 points by playoff teams.
Okay, but
give Cincinnati a shot at that point.
No,
come on.
Luke, I see where you're coming from, but the problem is you can't punish these teams like A&M and Notre Dame for losing to teams that are better than them when they have a better resume than Cincinnati. Why is Cincinnati going to get in? Why are you punishing?
You just say you can't punish teams for losing.
No, you can't.
You can't punish teams for losing.
You can't punish Notre Dame for having the best resume of the remaining playoff contenders because you want to give Cincinnati a try. That just doesn't
because have the best resume.
Notre Dame had their chance. They had their chance to beat Clemson and get in the playoff.
They did beat Clemson. They earned their spot. Notre Dame earned their spot.
They beat half of Clemson. They beat half of Clemson's defense and no Trevor Lawrence. You see what happens when Clemson has a full full team, they get blown out. The game wasn't even close. It was a joke. I don't want. Are you kidding me? They're gonna lose by 40 points to Alabama. It's gonna be the worst slaughter we've ever seen.
So is everybody that would have made it. Except for maybe Florida.
Oklahoma could have given them a game.
Except for maybe Florida.
Screw it.
No, Oklahoma.
No.
Don't tell me Oklahoma.
Cincinnati could give them a game.
No, Luke. Oklahoma, whenever they make the playoff, first of all, you guys don't want to semifinal blowouts. Oklahoma, whenever they make the playoff, get absolutely destroyed by whoever they play. That happens every single year. So
Chris,
I don't.
Who would have put up a better fight than Notre Dame?
Who?
Oregon. Put Oregon in the playoff.
Okay.
They put up a better fight than Notre Dame.
All right.
Just say what? They have more talent for sure.
Oh yeah, and then there's another thing. Mike's top 4. If you, I don't know if you guys, whoever's listening right now, you can go ahead and look at the 24/7 team composite rankings. The top 4 right there, that's Mike's top 4 because he doesn't care about the games.
That's not true.
He does not care.
That's not true.
Mike does not care about the games. He does not care at all about the games.
That's not true. I said the 4 best teams.
He does not want the games to be played. He wants
to be a good team.
I will say this. You don't have to listen. Don't listen to Mike because he's not telling the truth. Mike wants the regular season to be canceled from now on. He wants the top 4 teams, talent-wise, to be in the playoff. There will be no regular season under Mike's new system.
So you're telling me Texas. If you went by that, Texas would be the first team out.
Yeah, according to you.
They're the 5th best roster in the college football.
Yep. According to you, Texas is the 5th best team in the country.
No, of course the games have to be played, but come on, resumes don't matter. I'm just sick of it. Okay, you got to put in. Okay, Florida doesn't have a top 10 roster according to that thing. It might be number 9 or 10, but they aren't near the top 4. I still think they're one of the 4 or 5 best teams. They
lost to LSU. They shouldn't have lost to LSU.
You're right. They shouldn't have lost to LSU, but I don't care. I honestly don't care anymore. These games are meaningless anyway.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I agree with you on staying in the playoffs.
Because guess what? The New Year's Six doesn't mean anything. So once you lose twice, you just give up because you have nothing to play for.
Pretty much. Don't lose twice.
No, expand the playoff to 24 teams and then play for seeding.
I agree. I agree with you on that. But the way they have it right now with these 4 teams, the committee got it right.
And guess what? I'm not the only one that has changed my mind about this. Joe Clack, who is firmly a believer in the 4 best resumes and how they should never expand the playoff, he now wants the playoff to be expanded. That's how much of a joke the playoff has become.
Okay, you're looking for an argument. You don't have an argument. I agree with you. The playoff needs to be expanded. You keep arguing it.
My argument is the 4 best teams should get in, and the 4 teams that could give Alabama a chance. Or
that's ridiculous.
The playoff needs to be shrunk. The playoff needs to be shrunk. We got to go back to the polls voting for it because that system was 10 times better than what we have now.
I agree. 100% agree. Because the polls actually meant something.
Doesn't the bowl games mean something?
The bowl games should mean something. They shouldn't mean anything. I agree with Mike. The 24-team playoff.
Means nothing.
24-team playoff. Mike is right. And I would like to say something before we move on. I am so sick and tired of the people from all these, whether it's Fox or CBS or ESPN, of all these people trying to convince me that Cincinnati is a top 4 team. Like, just stop talking. Like, really? Stop talking. They play in the American Conference. They want to be in the playoff. Move to a good conference. I'm so sick and tired of these people pretending like they think Cincinnati's a top 4 team.
Okay.
It's a joke
but you can't
and disgrace.
You can't tell these teams, oh, you have a chance in our system. We'll give you an automatic berth to a bowl, New Year's Six bowl, and then at the same time, not even give them they do literally everything possible.
They shouldn't have a chance. They shouldn't. They shouldn't have a chance, Luke. Join a conference.
No, okay, that's the problem. You can't tell them that they have a chance when they really don't have a chance.
Join a conference.
What they should do is we should have them go make their own freaking division.
They should join their own conference. What they should do. If they want to have a chance, join their own conference. Join a better conference. Because the American is a joke.
Listen, I don't care about Cincinnati. I kind of agree with Chris a little bit. I mean, Cincinnati, they're not one of the 4 best teams. But what kind of pissed me off about the poll was you had an 11-0 Coastal Carolina team below a couple of 3-loss teams. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Really? Really? Mike, tell me right now.
Iowa State.
Tell me right now. Mike.
Louisiana beat Iowa State by 14, and Coastal Carolina beat Louisiana. And you're telling me Iowa State's a better team than Coastal Carolina. I'm sorry, they aren't.
Coastal Carolina will be 500 at best in the SEC.
You're a bit, Chris. I love you're a huge transit property guy, and I just used it, and you just dismissed it.
Yeah, well, tell me right now what would happen if Coastal Carolina stepped on the same field with Florida.
Florida would win. Listen. like you said, losses have to mean something. And if Florida's not in the playoff, they shouldn't be in the top 25. Looking at their resume.
All right.
But I want them in the playoff.
Like I said, it has to be a mix. It has to be a mix. I can't stand when the media.
Most of the times it is. Most of the times it is.
It is a mix, right? This year it's a mix.
Like last year, Alabama. Where did they go? 9-3. They should have made the playoff last year because they're one of the 4 best teams.
Well, they shouldn't have lost that game to Auburn. Shouldn't have lost that game to Auburn.
I don't care. I honestly don't care. I'm sick of the blowout.
And
I'm sick of them.
When Alabama made it that year, they won the championship, and they were the 4 seed. They didn't win the SEC. They didn't even get to the SEC championship. They might not have even had a top 4 resume, but they got in. And that was a good way. That was, in my mind, the best example of the playoff making the right choice. When you go and you mix most deserving and best teams. And I can't stand it when people are like, oh, it has to be one or the other. No, it doesn't. It can be a mix. All right.
Well, no. It should just be listen, let's be honest. It should just be Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Oklahoma every year because those are always the 4 best teams. I'm sick of these Notre Dames getting in, Michigan States. I'm sick of these crappy teams, Washington getting in there and getting blown out. I'm sick of it. And then what you should do after that happens, after it's Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma for 10 straight years, then you expand the playoff to 24 teams so that everybody, doesn't matter what they're ranked, can show if they're the best team in college football.
I agree, 24 teams. All right, just a reminder to everybody, starting at 9:15, we are fielding calls on anything, so you guys can interrupt us in our discussion. Call in to talk about whatever you want, college football. But for now, let's move on. Conference championships. We'll go with the Power Conference Championships Friday night. Oregon USC played a pretty good game. Oregon is the Pac-12 champ after not even originally qualifying from the game. That's why the Pac-12 is a joke. It's ridiculous. Ohio State kind of was in a dogfight with Northwestern for a while, but pulled away, won 22-10. Oklahoma and Iowa State. Great game. 27-21 win for Oklahoma. Clemson all over Notre Dame, 34-10. And a great game in the SEC, 52-46 over Alabama. I have a lot to say about Dan Mullen when you guys are done, but go ahead. What do you guys think?
Let's just go through each conference at a time.
All right.
Okay. Well, let's start with the Pac-12. That game is just an absolute joke. Just the fact that Oregon now gets to go to New Year's Six Bowl is a joke. It's the only reason they're ranked 25th is to try to make it look like a decent matchup. So that whole thing's just a joke. The whole Pac-12 and this college football should be disbanded. The fact that they should have just given the game to USC or something. I don't even know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the one main takeaway I take away from this game is Oregon State got screwed, and they should have been in the Pac-12 championship game.
All right, so I'm going to go now, and so Oregon.
Horrible calls. At the end of that Washington-Oregon State game, a 3-2 Oregon State would have been in the Pac-12 championship game, and they would have beaten USC because USC is god-awful. And Clay Helton, I have no idea how he still has his job. Got to give credit to Mario Cristobal. He's not a great coach, but they played their best game when it mattered. They hadn't really played a great game all year. But Oregon,
I was saying the Clay Helton thing a couple weeks ago. You guys like, oh no, he's recruiting well this year. He's fine.
I never said that. I never said that.
Pull up the tapes.
That was me, I think.
Clay Helton's been a terrible recruiter.
I actually like Clay Helton.
Horrible.
All right, yeah, I'll talk about the Pac-12 here. It's just a joke how a team that doesn't even originally qualify for the championship game wins the conference. That's ridiculous. Should have canceled the game. At that point, you cancel the game because
Colorado in there.
Yeah, put Colorado in there. That's a great point. They should have put Colorado in there.
No, Colorado sucks.
Caden Slow is just not good enough in this game. That's the bottom line. USC fell behind early. They almost made it up.
USC is not good. They are not good.
They almost made it up at the end.
Worst 5-0 team I've ever seen.
Well, they almost made it up at the end. Tough break there.
Not really.
Well, yeah, they were close to winning that game.
Not really.
Well, Slovis threw that pick. If he didn't throw that pick, they win the game.
Well, he did, so.
Yeah. So he wasn't good enough, or I don't really think much of Oregon either. The Pac-12 just sucks. I don't really have much to say about this. Clay Helton, it's a tough year. It's a COVID year. He got them the championship. USC is the 10th most talented team in college football, and they're recruiting well right now this year. They're recruiting well.
USC or Oregon?
USC is recruiting well this year.
No, they aren't.
Yes, they are.
USC
Not
should
for
be
USC
top 5
standards.
every year.
Not
Well,
for
they're
USC
they're
standards.
I think they're in the top 10. They're very close to the top 10 if they're not.
No, they're like 12. They were 12.
Yeah,
last
well,
year.
they're also the 10th most talented team in college football.
And they had 0 5-star commits.
Well,
That's not good enough.
listen, it's fine. Clay Helton's a good
What
coach.
were they last year? Weren't they dead last in the Pac-12 last year in recruiting?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
They're
they
doing
were
well
really
this year.
bad.
They're doing well this year. Clay Helton's a great coach. They shouldn't fire him. Okay.
Well, UCLA is going to take over that city in a couple of years. I like the way Chip Kelly's team's been playing.
No.
USC is 13th. They're behind Michigan.
That's a joke.
Listen, it's
Considering
tough.
where they are, the talent pool there, it's absurd. You can't be 13.
Well, I don't understand. Like if he is sitting in the top 13, and Oregon, who sucks. Oregon sucks, and they're barely ranked. And he's we have a call actually. Heath in the rusty red truck has a thought. Heath, what's going on? What's your thought?
Hi, it's Scotty, and I'm here to talk about how UNE is good at football.
Who's good at football?
UNE.
UNE. Yes. That's a great call, Scott. What do we think about UNE? Mike and Luke.
I think the team is really good. They have freshmen coming in through the offseason and looking forward to the season. Their defense is really fast. They have really good defenders that can easily get picked from their offense, and their defense is really good for tackling, especially when the other team is running plays with the football. They're really good at reading it and adapting, and yeah, they're just really good at pretty much everything. And their coaching staff is really big part of it. Mike, the head coach Mike Lincoln tells them, different ways can adapt to offense and from offense to defense, and they have really good assistant coaches helping the players figuring out how their game plan from offense to defense will work, and they have really good training staff. Their training staff is really good. They have really good medical people that can help people trying to get if anyone gets injured. And the fans are a big part of it. Because they will cheer for each team, but UNE has a lot of a really big fan base, and yeah, so that's all.
All right. Thanks for the call, Scott.
Yeah, no problem, Chris.
All right. What do we think about UNE? We don't talk about a lot of D3 football here on this podcast.
What was he talking about?
He's talking about UNE.
UNE?
Yeah. So that's some great thoughts there.
Well, as he said, they have a top training staff in the country.
Yeah, I agree.
They're that team going.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I was thinking the same thing when he brought up UNE. The first thing I thought of was the training staff, and they're really coming together there as a training staff at UNE. That was a great call. So
I'm crying.
hopefully we get some more calls like that throughout the show. But
I'm crying.
let's move on to the Ohio State game. Ohio State with 22-10 win over Northwestern. What do you guys think?
I think it was actually ended up being a very good win. Obviously missing almost 30 players, 25 players or something like that, and you had a lot of key players out, like Olave and Browning on the defensive side. So it ended up being but the thing that the offense struggled. Trey Sermon shined, obviously. But I just think the question mark we had was Ohio State's defense. I thought they looked really good. I know Northwestern isn't a great offensive team, but that was the one question mark we had. And I think they looked the problems they had going into this game. It looked like they solved some of them. I think some of the younger players are growing up a little bit. Because you have to remember, after the first 3 or 4 games of Alabama played this year, everyone was saying how bad their defense was, and now everyone's saying they have a really solid defense. It just takes time to get these young players game experience and against actual good talent. And I think they're growing up a little bit. I think they're going to be. I think that's not as much as a question mark as it was going into the game.
Okay. The fact of doing that in the Big Ten championship game and the playoffs 9 days away is a little concerning.
Yeah, well, we played 5 games, 6 games.
Yeah, that's fine, but it's still concerning. Ohio State, they played all right. Didn't play well early. Able to get it done at the end. It's kind of similar to a couple years ago. Northwestern kind of gave them a scare. Same sort of thing this year. Game is a little bit closer. Justin Fields was bad, but the running game is good. I mean, it's the same sort of thing. I was expecting Ohio State to win and cover. Didn't happen. I think Ohio State. We didn't really learn a lot from Ohio State. I think they're the 3rd best team in the country. I think it's 1 Alabama gap, 2 Clemson gap, 3 Ohio State gap, 4 4th team, which is apparently Notre Dame. Huge gap to Notre Dame. I don't know. They can't play like this, and certainly they can't beat Clemson. Justin Fields has got to figure something out. He played pretty well against Michigan State, running the ball, doing a lot of good things. He didn't pass the ball very well against us, and he certainly didn't pass the ball well against Northwestern and threw a couple picks. So that's not good enough. Ohio State, they've got to figure something out, or they're going to get, they're going to lose against Clemson.
Yeah, okay. We've lost Luke because his dad is yelling at him. So good stuff there. So just Mike and I here. Once again, we're fielding your calls. That was a great first call to start this off. But Ohio State, yeah, they're not as good as Clemson. They're going to lose to Clemson. I mean, Peyton Ramsey kind of sold this game at the end, like 3 turnovers late in the game. Just wasn't good at the end of the game, and that's why Northwestern lost. Justin Fields sucks. Trey Sermon had wide open holes to run through all day, and Ryan Day finally figured it out that all they need to do is run the ball. But Fields sucks. He sucked in both their big games this year. That's a big question mark. If I'm an NFL team, I'm a little wary of Justin Fields after this. That was
Jets. The Jets
yeah,
are wary.
the Jets after their thrilling win today. All right. Big 12, Oklahoma, 27-21 over Iowa State. Very good game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the game started how I expected Oklahoma to kind of get up early and win by a lot, but it's credit to Iowa State, credit to Matt Campbell. He's a fiery guy, good motivator. Got his team right back into the game, and they had a chance at the end. Purdy threw up the pick, but, they good effort. Oklahoma's a very good team. I think this Oklahoma team is better than years past. Point, obviously the resume isn't as good. But the defense is surprisingly good. Big 12 defenses have been surprisingly good this year. And Spencer Rattler, he's not great. He's still a freshman, but he's been playing better lately, and he played well. Iowa State, they played a good game. Getting down 17-0. I didn't think they had a chance to come back. They played very well at the end. But they couldn't get it done. So congratulations to Oklahoma. They'll go play in whatever bowl they're playing in. What bowl are they playing in? Cotton Bowl?
One of the bowls.
Yeah, they're playing in one of the bowls.
Okay. Yeah, Oklahoma got to a nice start here. I just want to say, I'm assuming Brock Purdy is not returning. He had a great career at Iowa State. He's a legend there.
Will.
No, maybe he will, but he's a legend there. Although I think Campbell's going to leave. I think Purdy's going to leave with him. But they couldn't. Iowa State just didn't get it going early enough. They had a shot there at the end, but you get down. What was it, 24-7 against Oklahoma? I mean, it's tough. I still don't think much of Oklahoma. I think they have a problem at quarterback. But they're a decent team. That's
Why would
a good
you say
win.
that?
Because he sucks.
Because he's a redshirt freshman.
Well, he sucks.
Well, Cade McNamara sucks, and you say he's the greatest thing since.
Well, he
sliced
plays
bread,
for
so
Michigan. He doesn't play for Oklahoma. Oh, we're getting another
no
call.
excuses.
I'm not sure if this is Heath. Is this Heath?
It's not time for this week's Collie.
Oh, it is Heath. He has a Collie poll thought.
24. Oklahoma.
All right, let's just hear the top 5 and let's hold. No. All right, you're getting muted. Thank you for the. You're getting muted unless you listen. You're getting muted. All right. You gotta hold the phone like a pizza, people. Hold the phone like a pizza. We cannot hear you if you don't hold the phone like a pizza. Okay. Yeah. So Iowa State, tough break there. I mean, they're a very good team. They should be ranked ahead of Coastal, no matter what Mike says. They shouldn't be ranked ahead of Indiana. I don't know about that one. That was weird, but we'll get to that later. All right, Clemson all over Notre Dame. This was supposed to be the highlight game of the day. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I expected Notre Dame to cover. I expected them to play well, and they didn't. And I didn't think the additions of Trevor Lawrence and a couple of players on defense would be that big, but apparently it is. And this Notre Dame team is closer to the Notre Dame teams of the past than I thought they were. And that first game against Clemson seems to be kind of a mirage. They just did not play well at all. Ian Book was terrible. Even though his stats looked decent, he was just dinking and dunking all day, and Clemson was taking advantage of it, making the sure tackle. Trevor Lawrence played well.
Oh, boy. Mike, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have a call. This is from Nick. Nick is in Chestnut Hill with a thought.
Hello.
What's going on, Nick?
I'd just like to talk about how BC completely out-recruited MSU this year.
Okay, yes. He's referring to the 24/7 Sports recruiting rankings, which have BC over Michigan State.
On Rivals, too.
Oh, they are ahead on Rivals now. Interesting.
We got the best player from Massachusetts, so we jumped MSU.
All right,
like
so
27, they're 28 now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. How can a school like BC out-recruit Michigan State? Nick, what do you think?
Oh, I thought Mike was. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't listen at the same time. I don't know. Halfley's a great coach, and Mel Tucker is just underperforming at MSU. I mean,
well, he's got the 29th ranked recruiting class.
It's easy to get number 1 classes out of Georgia, but
yeah,
he's underperforming at MSU.
Yeah, I mean, Mike just tried to say he has a 29th ranked class, but he has the 40th ranked class actually because nobody uses Rivals. Nobody uses Rivals. Nick, thank you for the call. We'll discuss this a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, Michigan State is obviously struggling in recruiting right now. 40th in the country in recruiting, and to get out recruited by a school like BC, I don't know how you have an excuse for this.
Guess what? I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. It's year 1. We'll have top 10 classes in future years. I'm not too concerned. Listen, first year, we lost a 4-star running back to Notre Dame. That stuff's going to happen. You're not an established brand right now. And to be fair, Mel Tucker, he's been known to jump ship, so that's kind of, putting some recruits off right now. But he's doing a terrific job. We are a national recruiting brand already in year 1. He's going out getting kids from Florida, getting kids from Georgia, getting kids from Arizona, getting kids from Nevada, California, New Jersey. We got a couple of our biggest guys from New Jersey. He's doing a terrific job. You got to look at the player. You can't just look at the ranking.
I think I'm going to look at the 40th ranked class, Mike. I mean, that's embarrassing.
We have the 29th ranked class.
No, you don't. Nobody uses Rivals.
And listen, you can say all you want about recruiting. Well, we lost a 4-star running back. We got a 4-star running back in the
yeah, some guy didn't play at Auburn. So, okay, so yeah.
4-star.
Before we move on, we have a text. We have a text on the Big 4 podcast text hotline from Heath in the truck. Says WTF Michigan State. So good stuff there.
Well, if you let me explain.
I already know. We've heard enough. We've heard enough.
We just got an Outland Trophy watch list player in the portal for the best.
We have another text. We have another text on the Big 4 podcast hotline.
And, we're doing quite well in recruiting. 2022, I expect.
Nick has texted in saying that BC owns the state of New Jersey, and that they own the transfer portal. So that is his response.
Well, we've already gotten 3 guys from the transfer portal, and including Anthony Russo, who's going to be a terrific quarterback.
Anthony Russo, who sucked at Temple. He was awful at Temple. All right, so let's get back to the
Suck at Temple.
Clemson
He
Notre
has had a
Dame
good
game.
career, and he will have a good
Go
year
ahead.
at
What were you
Michigan
saying
State.
about Clemson and Notre Dame?
Well, I'd like to get back to Michigan State. If
All
you
right,
let-
so
let
I'm going
me.
to talk about Clemson and
Listen, Michigan State, they're not doing too bad. You know, we're out recruiting Rutgers. We're out recruiting Penn State. Penn State's a one below us, so we're doing quite well in that.
No,
in
you're
that
just
sense.
not out recruiting them.
Now,
Nobody
average
uses
recruiting,
rivals.
We're not doing too well right now, but I expect as the results on the field get better, our recruiting will get better. And you know, being number 29 when you go 2-6, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
Look at it.
yeah. Well, they were number 40, so that's good.
And I know how much Chris loves the new Colorado coach, but he's down in the 60s.
I don't care. What was his record this year? I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Yeah, and he's down in the 60s because
Yeah.
Mel Tucker, what was he, 37 last year?
Wow,
Mel Tucker?
good for him.
New guy comes in.
37th. He's
Mel
not,
Tucker's
and he's doing
he's
worse.
an elite recruiter.
He was 37th
We're
in
gonna be
Colorado.
relentless.
Mike,
We are going to be
Mike,
process driven. We are going to make sure our players are ready mentally and physically to
Mike,
play on the
I'm
football
starting to
field.
think-
And if you are good enough to play, you will play next season. I expect to see a lot of roster turnover. We've seen it, 10 transfers so far in the transfer portal. We've gotten a few from the transfer portal. We have many early enrollees. We're doing quite well.
Mike, I'm just starting to think it's impossible to recruit at Michigan State because he did worse this year than he did at Colorado.
Well, he's done a lot better than Antonio's done the past 3 years.
Well, no, that's actually not true. Aside from D'Antonio's last year, he out-recruited Mel Tucker.
That's not true.
That is true.
That's not true.
That is true.
According to Rivals, he's out-recruited Mark
No,
Antonio
nobody
in
uses
every class
Rivals.
except for 2.
We like to say at the big no.
The Big Four podcast is a Rivals affiliate.
No, it is
so
not a Rivals affiliate.
It is.
It is not a Rivals affiliate. I use 24/7 Sports. Mike, I don't know
care
why.
what you use.
I don't know why Mike uses Rivals. Nobody uses it.
I use Rivals because it's more accurate and it's been proven to be
Not more accurate.
It is.
All right, get back to Clemson and Notre Dame. What are you saying?
I'd like to get back to Michigan State.
All right, so I'm going to mute you here.
Okay. You know, well, Clemson, good team. They'll go to the national championship probably. Notre Dame, a bad team. I'm sick of seeing them lose by 30 in the playoff.
Oh, yeah, that
Haven't won
one
New
time
Year's
they
Six
made the
Bowl.
playoff.
Have never won a BCS Bowl / New Year's Six in the playoff era once. Not one. They've been in like 8 of them. They've lost every single one. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of Notre Dame. I'm done with them. They're a bad team, poorly coached, bad quarterback. Enough with the 1940s offense. Let's get into the modern day. Come on, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson's just a more talented team. You know, Notre Dame really, they were already in the playoff at this point. I mean, we'll see what happens against Alabama. I think they're going to get blown out, but, you know, tough game. Clemson, they're going to beat Ohio State. I mean, I was surprised that Notre Dame got run all over because last time they played, they shut down ETN, and they couldn't shut down ETN in this game. He ran all over him. And Lawrence threw all over him.
Having a quarterback that can run works wonders. And he did a good job running the ball.
And, you know, Book, I mean, he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad.
He was horrible.
But the bottom line is they couldn't run the football, and they didn't throw the ball down the field.
The bottom line is, in modern college football, you need a quarterback who can throw the ball down the field, make plays for his playmakers. He can't do it. He's limited at the quarterback position. He cannot
I don't
make
agree
the
with
throws
that.
needed
He
to
is
win these games.
he is easily a top 10 quarterback in the country. I mean,
that is ridiculous.
he's not Trevor Lawrence, but he's easily a top 10 quarterback in the country.
7.8 yards per completion. I'm sorry, that's
Mike,
not good enough.
Mike, he doesn't turn.
That's
he has
not good enough.
2 picks all season. The guy does not turn the ball over.
I don't care about picks.
That's the only stat that matters. Is
Picks do not matter.
Yes, they do.
What about Mac Jones? He throws picks every game.
Well, not as many
Doesn't
as
mean anything.
not as many as like Matt Corral, which is your kind of quarterback. That's what you love.
Well, Matt Corral is 20 better than Ian Book is.
Oh, really? Should
20
we look
times
at
better.
Matt Corral? How is he? Let's look at his stats. Why don't we?
Well, yeah, let's look at their stats. He's going to the Outback Bowl. He's done pretty damn well for himself.
Wow, the Outback Bowl. Notre Dame's going to the playoff. Notre Dame's going to the playoff. So, let's see.
Well,
Matt
you gotta look at the
Corral
roster.
had 6 turnovers against LSU, by the way. So
Okay, Notre Dame doesn't pass the ball. I'd hope he
that's
doesn't
just not
have
true. They threw the
turnovers.
ball 28 times.
That's not good. You got to throw the ball 55
Listen,
times.
Notre Dame is a very good team.
He can win
They're
the game.
limited in recruiting. That's the bottom line. They do the most of what they can with their recruits.
That's
So
ridiculous. It's not true.
that is true. All right,
What about
SEC.
Florida recruits at the same level Notre Dame does.
That's just false. So
That is not false. That is 100%
That's just
true.
not
In
true.
fact, Notre Dame has recruited better than
that's
Florida the
just
past
not
couple of years.
just not true.
Look it up.
No, it's not true.
Look it up.
Well, while I'm looking that up, talk about the SEC championship.
Yeah, Alabama. Credit to myself because I predicted.
No,
the halftime
Mike.
score
Mike, Florida is the
exactly
seventh
right.
most talented team in the country. Notre Dame is eighth, and Notre Dame's in the playoff, and Florida's not. So
they're right at the same place.
And
right
guess who's in the playoff? And guess who's in the playoff?
Don't care.
What do you mean you don't care?
Notre Dame doesn't play anybody.
Oh, and
They
Florida,
don't play
and Florida had all those great wins this year. They had one good
Florida
win.
played a much tougher schedule.
Well, actually, no. Notre Dame is higher in strength of schedule, I believe.
Well, that's ridiculous. That just doesn't make any sense. Florida played Georgia and Alabama, and if Notre Dame
Well,
played those
no.
two teams, they get absolutely destroyed.
Let me look.
So, and Texas A&M. They also played Texas A&M.
Maybe they didn't
Give me
have.
a break.
Let's see. Strength of schedule.
Anyways,
Florida is fourth. Florida is fourth. Notre Dame is eighth. My bad.
Yeah, so Florida played a much tougher schedule.
Much tougher.
Notre Dame played that schedule, they'd have 3 losses. Let's be honest.
No, they
They'd
wouldn't.
have the same amount of losses.
They would have lost
to LSU.
They would have
lost
lost
to Georgia.
No, they would have lost to Alabama. That's
they 100%
it.
would have lost to Georgia.
Not with DeJuan Mathis
100%.
playing quarterback and the airmail man.
It was airmail man
Yeah.
at the time, and they would have lost.
No, they wouldn't have.
100%.
No.
Well, Kirby owns Notre Dame. He's 2-0 against them in the last 2 games. So.
All right. Well. All right. SEC championship.
I'll give credit to Florida. They played decently well in the second half. The game, it didn't really feel like the game was in out of Alabama's hands though. It felt like they were always in control, even in the last drive. Alabama's defense, I think Florida's got the number 2 offense. Clemson probably is the number 3. They're going to have to outscore Clemson and win, but besides that, I think they can probably shut down Notre Dame. But Florida's got a pretty good offense. Dan Mullen did a pretty good job coaching them up, but they just couldn't do enough.
So
this Alabama team.
All right. Well, listen, Alabama's the best team in the country. There's no shame in Florida losing to Alabama, and if Florida had not lost to LSU, they have an argument for the playoff. But, and I hate to focus on things that might not have affected the game. It's just it's not a small thing, but it's a thing at the end of the game that really bugged me. And by the way, I will say this. Devontae Smith, Mac Jones, and Najee Harris will be 1, 2, 3 for the Heisman. Alabama was great. Florida played great. But this Dan Mullen, my God. I am so off the Dan Mullen trade. So let's go through what happened at the end of the game. Florida's down 14 points. They go down and score a touchdown with, let's see, they had 2 timeouts and they scored with 2:07 to play. If he wants to go for 2 and play the analytics, fine. Whatever. I don't agree with it.
BS. Even if he didn't call the timeout and went for the analytics, you'd still be blasting him.
Mike, here's the thing. I don't care. He wants to go for the analytics, fine. But
bullshit, you don't care.
I don't agree with it, but that's not the problem I have. The problem I have, he used a timeout, which came back to completely bite them at the end of the game. What is he doing?
Did it, though?
Yes, they would have got the ball back with a minute left. And the way they were throwing the ball, they might have scored.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, this guy needs to be fired. That is the worst game management I've ever seen in my entire life.
No, you can't go all backwards on him. You were the one who said he was the greatest thing since sliced
bread. I am off the Dan Mullen train.
Never won anything
sucks.
at Mississippi State.
He blows. He's awful.
Yeah, listen, I've been saying he's the Harbaugh of the South.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right. I will bow down to you from now on because you were right.
It took a 5th string quarterback and 7 defense out for Georgia. That Florida win over Georgia was similar to the Notre Dame win over Clemson. If Georgia was at peak health, they would absolutely destroy Florida.
Florida's better than Georgia. Florida is better than Georgia.
No, that's ridiculous.
Look at the quarterbacks.
JT is better than Kyle Trask. It's not even close.
Okay, and with that, we're going to move on. We have the Big Ten scoreboard. Some real barn burners in the Big Ten this week. Let's see. We had Minnesota and Wisconsin. That game was a complete, clown show. Wisconsin ended up winning in overtime, 20-17. Penn State finishes the season with 4 wins after losing the first 5 games. 56-21 over Illinois. Let's see. Nebraska defeats Rutgers 28-21. I think that's it. So go ahead. What do you say about these games?
Well, I'll start with Penn State. That was a hell of a win for Penn State. Illinois dwelled in the game early. Penn State kind of took over late. Their offense has really come to life the past two games, really the past 6 quarters. The first 2 quarters against Michigan State, they kind of struggled. Second half, they kind of opened it up and played very well. And against Illinois, which, they're not known for their great defense, but they're not horrible on defense. They put up 56 points. So got to give credit to Penn State. Got to give credit to James Franklin pulling the season together. 3 big wins at the end of the year. That just kind of cements the fact that I think he's going to be there next year, unless Auburn comes in with some crazy offer, maybe even Tennessee. I've heard. I think Pruitt's going to be gone. But I think he's going to stay. I think the culture's still okay there. I think they'll be back to where they usually are next year. Wisconsin, kind of similar thing. It was a tough season for Wisconsin. Ton of injuries all around the board. Minnesota, they had a bunch of players out also. Got to give credit to Minnesota also. After those first 2 games, they could have just quit. But they came back, finished the season 3-1. I'll give credit to PJ Fleck. Not sure if Tanner Morgan's going to be back. Probably not. We'll see. He's got probably a lot to replace next year. We'll see what happens. But that win for Wisconsin, that game, just kind of felt like whoever got luckiest was going to win that game. And I'll give credit to Nebraska. I thought Rutgers was, or I did pick Nebraska to win, but you two picked Rutgers. Gotta give credits where credit's due. Nebraska, that was a game they could have just sat down and pouted and lost, but they came out. They were prepared, coaching wise. I think that was a big win. Because if they lost that game, I don't know. The fan base would have been off of Scott Frost. The administration would have been off them. That was a game they had to win, and they won. Rutgers, very successful first season, and they're kind of making headway. We'll see what happens next year and years to come.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really take much out of Nebraska because it's Rutgers. So they're supposed to win a game like that, and Scott Frost probably saved his job. But they won the game they're supposed to win. Penn State, I agree with you, Mike. It's a good way to end the season for them. I think they'll be back next year. Franklin will be back next year. Oh my God, this Minnesota-Wisconsin game, a complete clown show. So you got teams. I was convinced both these teams just were trying to lose because Wisconsin goes down and they're on fringe field goal range with 2 minutes to go in a tie game regulation. So they decide it's a good idea that we're going to throw the ball at the end zone with our backup quarterback who throws a complete duck and gets picked off. Then Tanner Morgan fumbles when Minnesota gets the ball back and they avoid disaster. And Wisconsin wins in overtime. Complete clown show. Those 2 teams suck. I give credit to PJ Fleck though because that team started awful. So decent week for the Big Ten. All right, we got some coaching news. Brett Bielema is going to be the next coach at the University of Illinois. And Mike believes he has some information on the Auburn and Tennessee jobs as well. So go ahead.
Well, I guess I'll start with the Auburn and Tennessee jobs. I've kind of heard some rumblings from my sources. I have great sources.
Yeah.
That are saying that Jeremy Pruitt is going to be gone after this season. It's been just a catastrophe of a year for Tennessee. They've had quarterback issues. They've had personnel issues.
Jarek Garantano, he's in the quarterback's in the transfer portal.
Yeah, well, he wasn't going to play next year anyway. At least I hope he wouldn't have played because he was terrible. And they had those 2 other backups, Harrison Bailey. But they've had some off the field issues, as you've seen with that report that came out. I think that's going to be an excuse. One of the excuses to let him go. Not really. I don't have any intel about who they might want to get, but I don't know. I think he's going to be gone by the end of the week. As for Tennessee or as for Auburn, yeah, I've heard they've looked at several different guys. I've heard they talked to Mario Cristobal. Mario Cristobal kind of used the Auburn job to get leverage to sign a bigger extension with Oregon. They're looking at. I've heard they've offered Hugh Freeze, but he turned them down, which is interesting. Maybe he's looking for a better job than Auburn. Maybe Tennessee, possibly. Who knows? That would be crazy if Tennessee got him. But Auburn's just kind of been a complete crap show. I've heard they've wanted Kevin Steele, like half the administration wanted Kevin Steele to be their coach, and then the fans rioted on Twitter, and then they said, okay, we can't hire Kevin Steele without a Greg Schiano level backlash. So they're still looking for their guy, Brett Venables. He's on the table. The offensive coordinator there, Tony Elliott, he's on the table. I have no idea what Auburn's doing. We'll see if they can lure maybe a guy like Louisiana coach. What's his name? I can't remember his name, but him.
They're gonna get Chris
UAB
Creighton.
Coach. Chris Creighton's probably a little too old. But as for the Illinois job, that was a very good move from Illinois. You got an established Big Ten coach, a guy who's won at the highest level at the Big Ten. He's got 3 Big Ten championships. And people want to say downplay his job he did at Arkansas. I think he did a pretty good job at Arkansas. That's a really tough place to win in the SEC. They didn't have great seasons, but they had a couple good years there. And you've seen ever since he's left, the program's just been horrible. He's going to do a pretty good job there, I think. The Big Ten is just the level of coaching in the Big Ten has just gone up 1,000%. Look at hires: Greg Schiano, Mel Tucker, both very good coaches. Brett Bielema, established coach. I know you love Lovie Smith, but he's no Brett Bielema in terms of coaching in the Big Ten. Scott Frost, I don't know about him. He's better than Mike Riley for sure. Other guys, Ryan Day, he's a pretty good coach, I think. Jim Harbaugh sucks. Jim Harbaugh's really the only bad coach in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, I mean, the hire for Illinois, I was mad they fired Lovie Smith, but, they upgraded. They had a coach in place, and they got him. So I can't be mad about that from a Lovie Smith standpoint, but good hire for Illinois. Tennessee, you're right. Things move fast in the SEC. He might be gone. I don't think they should fire him. I think they got to give him one more year. But
I think you're insane.
What?
He's done a horrible job.
Well, listen, they're recruiting pretty well.
No, they aren't.
They are. Auburn.
No, they're not.
I have things to say about Auburn as a former Auburn fan, as my second team. Not anymore, however, after they fired one of the best coaches in the country, Gus Malzahn. No idea what they're doing. Because when you fire a guy,
I forgot to mention Tennessee. Some candidates. I've heard Gus Malzahn's name thrown around. Actually,
that would be great. I would love that, and then he could go play Auburn and throw it in their face. That would be great.
Well, too bad because of the SEC schedules. They play Auburn once every 8 years.
Yeah, well, they're going to play them soon. It's going to happen. So that would be great. Auburn, no idea what they're doing. They clearly didn't have a coach in place. They just got rid of Malzahn with nothing else in place. And I don't know how you do that. You're in a good situation with a good coach, and they just get rid of him, and they have no backup plan. Nothing. It's a disgrace. They're a joke. They're going down the tubes. They suck. I mean, it's just infuriating.
Okay, that's a fair point. I agree with you on the Auburn point. It's been a complete another shit show in terms of that coaching search and how it's gone. Kind of similar to the Michigan State coaching search last year. And we were kind of lucky that Mel Tucker, who, it could have been a lot worse. Is Mel Tucker a proven coach? No, but I think he's doing some good things. Tennessee, you have to get rid of him, right? I mean, he's been horrible. First year, you throw that under the bus. Last year, they lose to Georgia State. They lose to BYU. They go on a big winning streak against a bunch of bad teams, and they finish 7-6. And then this year, this was the year. Okay, if Jeremy Pruitt's a really good coach, this is the year they come out and they show that he's a good coach. Maybe they don't lose to Arkansas by they don't lose to Arkansas. You don't lose to Kentucky by 28. You don't lose to teams. Who else they lose to? Georgia, got throttled by Georgia, got throttled by Florida. The only team in conference that you beat was Missouri and Vanderbilt. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. This Tennessee team, the talent's there. And he's not been recruiting to the level Butch Jones has been recruiting also.
I don't know.
He needs to go. He needs to go. It's really as
maybe.
simple as that.
We'll see.
He needs to go.
They better have a backup plan, though. They better have a plan in place.
Oh, yeah, they're going to go get Steve Spurrier.
Okay. So let's talk about some Big Ten bowl games here. I'll just go through them here real quick. Wisconsin drew Wake Forest in the Mayo Bowl. That's a premier bowl right there. 15th ranked Iowa draws Missouri in the Music City Bowl. 14th ranked Northwestern draws Auburn in the Citrus Bowl. And 11th ranked Indiana will play Ole Miss in the Outback Bowl. What do you think about these games?
Listen, I've lost all credibility with the bowls this year. It's just complete and utter, just terrible. I have no respect for any of these bowl teams. Wisconsin being a bowl team, I don't even know why, to be honest. I don't know why they're a bowl team. They should have just opted out, just like pretty much every other Big Ten program. The only teams that really should be going to bowls are the Big Four in the Big Ten. The four teams that actually performed decently well this year. And that would be Northwestern, Iowa, Indiana, and, of course, Ohio State, which is in the playoff. So I guess, you could probably take something out of that, but the bowl atmosphere is not going to be there. I don't know about the fan situation, what they're going to do. Probably going to have no fans. I don't know what the situation is. Bowl festivities for the players aren't going to be there. It's just going to be a couple extra weeks of practice and the game being played. And I understand why a lot of these programs are opting out, especially in the Big Ten. Michigan State opted out. Nebraska opted out. Minnesota opted out. So very interesting. But this bowl season is just a complete joke.
Yeah, I agree. It's a complete joke. I don't know how these big-time these SEC schools like South Carolina are getting in bowl games. Some of these other schools aren't, and it's because of the money, obviously.
9-2 Army doesn't get a bowl game.
Well, actually, apparently they did, but Boise State opted out because they were going to play them.
Oh.
But they should be in over 2-8 South Carolina. Anyways, Wisconsin don't care about that game. Iowa's going to destroy Missouri. Northwestern Auburn is actually a very intriguing game, I think. I don't know. If Gus was coaching, I might take Auburn there because that is being played in an odd year. But I'm not sure about Kevin Steele, how he's going to fare in that game. So we'll see. And Indiana should take care of Ole Miss. We got the turnover machine at quarterback for Ole Miss. So, Indiana should win that game. But, yeah, I agree. The bowl season's a joke. And it's a disgrace. All right, we got some bowls to pick this week. Oh no, we're gonna do an early playoff preview. So are you taking Alabama to win the national championship, or are you taking the field?
Alabama.
All right, I'm also gonna take Alabama. And is Clemson? Are they gonna play Clemson or Ohio State?
Clemson. I don't see Ohio State offense. I think their defense is certainly a question mark. I don't think their offense is going to score enough points to keep up.
All right, I agree. All right, let's get some picks. I am 11 games back. Luke 22 games back. It's going to take a lot here to make up games. So we'll see what happens. Myrtle Beach Bowl, North Texas, and Appalachian State.
Oh, God. Appalachian State. What a start to bowl season.
Yes, I will also take App State. The Idaho Potato Bowl between Tulane and Nevada.
I'm going to go with Nevada in this one.
I will go to Tulane because you picked Nevada. The Boca Raton Bowl, UCF and BYU.
Oh, of course, BYU. They go from a New Year's Six. They go from playoff conversations to the Boca Raton Bowl to play their national championship against UCF. I'm going to go with BYU.
Yeah, I'm taking UCF.
No way.
Yeah. I'm done with BYU. Enough. Memphis and FAU in the Montgomery Bowl.
You skipped one.
Okay. Louisiana Tech and Georgia Southern in the New Orleans Bowl.
What a game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the triple option. I'm taking Georgia Southern.
I'll take Louisiana Tech because you took Georgia Southern. Memphis and FAU, Montgomery Bowl.
Yeah, what a crappy bowl game. I'll take Memphis.
I'll also take Memphis. Houston and Hawaii in the New Mexico Bowl.
Yeah, this is an interesting game.
Not really. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take Houston, I guess.
Yes, I also take Houston. Dana Holgerson, let's go. Buffalo and Marshall.
Oh God. I'm gonna I'll go with Marshall, even though they ended the season on a sour note.
Buffalo.
I'll take Marshall.
Buffalo for me. Coastal Carolina and Liberty in the Cure Bowl.
Oh, very interesting matchup. I'll take Coastal Carolina.
I'll take Coastal. Well, a great game here. South Carolina, 2-8 South Carolina. We'll take on UAB.
I'll take UAB in a blowout.
I'm taking South Carolina in a blowout. Louisiana and University of Texas San Antonio.
Yeah, this is a mismatch. I'm taking Louisiana.
Louisiana. Western Kentucky and Georgia State.
I'll take. I'll take Western Kentucky. I don't even know anything about either of these.
I'll take Georgia State because you took Western Kentucky. Yeah. So we will. We blessed you guys with some good picks this week. A lot of great games in the docket this week.
Probably. I know this is the first week of bowls and they always suck, but my God, this is a atrocity.
Yeah, not
this
good.
Week in bowl.
All right. Well, we appreciate all your calls. We had some great calls here today.
I appreciate Scotty calling in.
Yes, of course. And Luke, I don't know, he just leaves halfway through the podcast, so that was good. It was a good
family emergency.
Yeah, something like that. Mike,
thank you to Nick. You're an idiot. Michigan State's a better program. We'll be out recruiting BC in a year. I'm not too worried about it. How about that?
All right. Is that is your last word?
No, my last word is that Michigan State or that Michigan sucks, and they're not going to a bowl because they suck. How about that?
Yeah, we opted out of a bowl.
Nope.
So yeah, we'll be back with some hoops this week. We know Mike is not going to be happy on that podcast after Michigan State loses to a Northwestern team.
Well, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Northwestern, who might win 4 conference games, they're lucky.
Well, that's pretty good considering.
So Michigan State sucks at basketball. Michigan has jumped them in my conference power rankings. So yeah, thank you all for joining. This has been a great live stream. We'll be back with hoops this week. Stay safe.